Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrea, and I am so excited about today's video because I'm going to be talking to you all about my home, which is a converted school bus that I've been living in for the last 4 years full time as a solo female traveler. I have gotten so many questions about my bus over the years, especially on my other social media platforms, because every time I post about it, people are just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Tell me everything about it. And so today I'm going to be telling you all of the things that I absolutely love about bus life. And then in my next video, I'm going to be telling you everything that I hate about bus life. So I've been living in this bus full time for 4 years. It is a 24-foot 2010 Chevy Express. Hold on, holding for sound. There's always a motorcycle going by. It is a 24-foot Chevy, 2010 Chevy Express with a diesel engine. I'll be doing a tour video in a different video, but those are just some of the basics of this bus. So it's not a full-size bus. It is a short bus, or if you are a little bit familiar with bus life or bus terminology, it is a 6-window bus, and I have handicap doors. As you can see, some of my decor around me. This is what you see behind me is sort of like the second, it's like the 2/3 of my bus. And then I have the other third of my bus up in front of or behind the camera that you can't see. But I wanted to talk about some of the things that I really love about this because I know that especially if you're looking at this video, you've probably been looking at other bus tour videos or bus life videos. You probably follow other people who live on the road. Maybe you're considering living on the road. It's something that you've been dreaming about for a really long time. And what I've noticed over the years is that there aren't a lot of Black women that are living solo on the road. And so I wanted to just sort of add my voice to the collective and tell you a little bit about my experiences as a Black female solo traveler and tell you all of the things that I absolutely love, because this has been one of the most incredible and transformative experiences of my life, living full time in a school bus. And I have grown so much. I have learned so much. I've gotten to have so many incredible experiences and also some really challenging experiences, which again, I'll be sharing in my other video about all the shit that I hate about bus life. But for now, I want to talk to you about all of the things that I really, really love. Some of the things that inspired me or made me feel attracted to this lifestyle, and the things that just really keep me going despite some of the massive challenges that come from living on the road. The things that I love are the things that keep me going and keep me loving this lifestyle. So one of the very first things that I really love about living on the road is the freedom of geography. So I love the United States, especially geographically. It is such a beautiful country, and I don't think that Americans really understand just how beautiful this country is. I've driven cross country twice in my car in this country, and I've driven through dozens of states in my school bus, have stayed in dozens of states in my school bus. And so I've gotten to really see the expansiveness and the diversity of the geography and the diversity of the people that live in the United States. And so for me, what I love about bus life is that you get to travel through so many different geographical terrains. So I can go and I can live in the mountains, I can live in the desert, I can live by the beach, I can live in the forest, I can live in cities. There are so many different places that are available to me when I'm traveling in my bus. And when it comes to weather, I have a lot of freedom because right now we are coming towards the end of the winter season. And so when it's really hot in one part of the country, I can travel to a part of the country where it's much cooler. Or when it's very cold in certain parts, there are other parts of the country that are very warm. I can even drive down into other countries if I want to, which I haven't gotten to do yet. But there are a lot of people that go down into Mexico, specifically Baja. And that's something that I've been really wanting to do for the last couple of years. And my intention is to make it happen this winter, this next winter of 2026, to go down into Baja. But just being able to travel to so many different types of geography and see the expansiveness of this country, to see all of the different aspects of beauty that this country has, is one of the things that I love most about bus life. Growing up, I always loved going on road trips with my family and would stare out the window and daydream and just be in my own little world and just sort of watch the road and watch the land pass by, watch the land change and the geography change. And so being in my bus is such a really beautiful way to do this. For instance, I spent a lot of time in California in the spring and early part of the summer because I go to festivals and events in that part of the country. And so when I start down in Southern California, you have the Pacific Coast Highway with all of the beautiful beaches and Malibu and the other beach cities of Los Angeles. And then as you're driving up California, you go into the redwoods and you pass through the mountains. And then I've spent lots of time in Mount Shasta over these past 4 years, just camping at the base of Mount Shasta and then going up into Oregon and Washington and staying in rainforests and camping on rivers and lakes and just all of the things. And so the diversity of geography is one of my absolute favorite things, which leads me into my next favorite thing, which is being able to stay so deeply connected to nature. I am such a nature girly. I worship nature. Nature is a huge part of my spiritual practice, being able to ground, being able to connect with the plants, connect with animals, connect to the sun, and just being in nature and feeling all of the beautiful healing energy of nature is such an important part of just who I am and how I live my life. And so being able to travel around and have a mobile home that can take me anywhere I want and I can make any type of nature background my backyard for a night, 2 nights, 2 weeks, a month, however long I want, is something that is so beautiful to me because I can go and, like one of my favorite states is Montana. It's to me, I've been through more than 30 states in this country, and Montana is the most beautiful state that I've ever been in. And one of the things that makes Montana so beautiful is that it has so many rivers and deep, lush forests and woods and mountains and just such a beautiful, like green, lush areas of land. And when I drive into Montana and I'm sitting by a river or in the woods in a forest, and you just hear the silence of nature, and you can actually meditate and talk to spirit and hear the music of the animals and the other creatures that are living around you. It's something that is just so deeply healing and nourishing for my soul. And it's one of the main reasons why I decided to embark on this journey of living full time in a school bus, because I was living in Los Angeles when I bought this school bus. And Los Angeles is a very dense city. It has a lot of dense energy. It has a lot of smog and pollution from the amount of cars and vehicles that exist in that area. And while Los Angeles is a great place to live if you want to be able to still stay connected to nature, just because geographically it's so beautifully located amongst all of these different types of geographical locations, it's just such dense energy. And I wanted to embrace more solitude and embrace more silence and really just come back to the silence and solitude of nature. And so being in my bus and being able to spend time, lots of extended time in nature, immersed with the plants and the animals, is something that has been so deeply healing for me over these last few years. And one of my absolute favorite things about living in a school bus and living in a school bus full time. The other thing, or the next thing that I really love about bus life is community and meeting so many different types of people. I am a people person. Yes, I love my solitude. And yes, I love being in nature. Yes, I love the silence, but I love people so much. And since I've been on the road, I have gotten so many opportunities to just meet and connect with really, really incredible people. Even when I just stop at gas stations to fill up my diesel tank with diesel, I am always having people coming up to me and saying, "Oh my God, I love your rig, and I have something too," or showing me their spaces and meeting other people that are, in the bus life or van life lifestyle themselves, and just getting to connect with really beautiful souls. Being in a bus that is mobile also gives me the opportunity to travel to lots of different events that are happening around the world. So something that I've talked about on my channel is, I go to women's gatherings, I go to music festivals. And so like a women's gathering that I go to every year is called Spirit Weavers. And when I drive up to Southern Oregon to camp on the land for Spirit Weavers, I get to camp on this land for 2 weeks, and I have my home with me. When I go to music festivals, I get to have my whole house with me. And so I get to just really hunker down in places and take my time getting to immerse myself in these communities and connect with lots of people and answer questions and get ideas and inspiration from other people who are also living on the road. I use an app called Harvest Hosts, which is a host where, or not a host, it's an app where people who have properties and businesses all over the country, they open up their properties, they open up their homes, they open up their businesses to people such as myself to come and spend the night or multiple nights on their properties. And in doing that, I've gotten to connect with so many amazing people. There's one couple in particular that every single summer when I'm going through Northern California, I reach out and I say, "Hey, are you available?" And they're like, "Yes, come please." And I get to stay on their property for 4 or 5 days, and they have barbecues and they bring me fresh fruit and they let me swim in their pool, and just so many really nice things that get to happen simply by me being on the road and getting to connect with lots and lots of people. So the community aspect, getting to connect with lots of different people, even when it comes to things like breaking down on the road. I've met, there's this one older guy who lives in Arizona named Daryl, which is my late father's name, who I met a couple of years ago when I was having some issues driving through Flagstaff, Arizona. And he came and helped fix my broken water pipe on my gray water tank. And we ended up talking for hours and hours, and we still text each other and check in with each other. And he's become a friend that when I have questions about mechanical issues and things like that, I can reach out to him and say, "Hey, like, how do I fix this? Or what part do I need?" And he's just such a nice man and someone that I've been able to make friends with. Is just one example of some of the amazing things that get to happen to me when I'm on the road. I am currently in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I landed in Albuquerque, New Mexico because of community, because of being able to travel. I met so many of the people that I love in my community here in other parts of the country, and they invited me to Albuquerque. And so being on the road, it seems counterintuitive because you are solo and you spend a lot of time on your own. But that solo time and that alone time is actually what allowed me to find my soul tribe and find my soul family. The next thing I want to talk about that I mentioned just a moment ago is festivals. Like, I am such a festival head and I love going to music festivals. And in the past, when I would go to music festivals, it was always such a thing with having to load up all of my camping gear and my tents and my blow up mattresses and the easy up for the kitchen and like all of the supplies that you need, and getting the cooler and buying dry ice. And just, if you've been camping or if you've gone to music festivals, you know how much work it is going to music festivals. And now that I have my bus over these last 4 years going to music festivals, which is such a huge part of my self-care, it's such a huge part of me connecting to my inner child. It has been just 10 out of 10, highly recommend, no notes when it comes to festivals, because I literally pull up to a festival with my house. I have everything that I need. I have my plumbing system, I have my toilet, I have my shower, I have my kitchen, I have a comfortable bed, I have all of my costumes and jewelry and just all of the things that I need. And I feel so safe. I literally, after a long night of like partying well into the hours of the morning, instead of me going back to a messy campsite or not being able to find my tent, or waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning when the sun rises and you're like boiling inside of your tent, I get to come back to this beautiful, comfortable home where I have a heater and I have an air conditioner, I have filtered water, I can take a shower, I have all the things that I need to feel really, really comfortable and get lots of rest and feel really nourished so that I can go out the next day and keep partying even harder. And so festivals is like one of the things that I love most about bus life, is that I get to take my home with me everywhere I go, including all the places where I go to party and let loose and just have a really good time and still feel really safe and feel really comfortable in those environments. The next thing that I love about bus life is how I get to spend extended time with my loved ones. So I have friends that live all over the country. I have family that lives all over the country. And so if I'm missing my sister who lives in Minnesota, all I have to do is just roll on up to Minnesota and I can park at an RV park close to her place, and then I can spend as much time as I want with my sister and my nephews. Or when I am traveling up through Northern California on my way to Spirit Weavers every summer, one of my best friends lives in Mount Shasta. And so I just roll up and I park in his driveway, and we get to spend a week, 2 weeks together, just hanging out, going on hikes, just talking, dropping in together. And we just get to bond and connect in person for extended amounts of time. I have lots of friends in LA that I get to see when I'm traveling through Southern California. When I want to go back to visit my mom or get things out of my storage unit, I park at my mom's house in Central Texas. I am currently in Albuquerque, parked at a friend's house where I'm just hanging out and enjoying lots of time with my friends in my community here. And so being able to just pop over to different parts of the country and already have my home, I don't have to pay for flights. I don't have to pay for Airbnbs or hotels or car rentals or anything like that, because I have my vehicle and I have my home with me all the time. And so I get to just drop in with my friends and family no matter where they are in the country, which is such a beautiful way to stay connected, because sometimes we don't get to see each other that often when we, live far away. But when I can just get on the road and drive to someone and know that because I work remotely, because I get to do everything online, I don't have to be at a job. I don't have to be at work. I can do everything where in my home, no matter where I am in the country. I can go and I can spend lots of time with people that I love and not feel like I have to rush to get back anywhere else. So the next thing that I absolutely love about living nomadically, living full-time in a school bus, is that I don't pay rent. I don't have rent bills. I don't have utility bills. So my expenses have been completely cut down over these last 4 years, which is absolutely incredible. When I was living in Los Angeles, my last place, I was paying $27.50 per month for my one-bedroom house in Sherman Oaks. $27.50 a month. And since I've been living nomadically, I do not pay rent at all. My bus is fully paid for. I invested money that I made from my last big job as an actress. I invested that fully into this bus. And so I do not have a car note, or I have a car because I have a car note for that, but I do not have a note for this bus. And I do not have any outstanding expenses other than the occasional repairs. And then, of course, my typical expenses like groceries and toiletries and things like that that I will need occasionally. But I have absolutely zero rent and zero utility bills, which is just such a relief on the nervous system, especially if you are someone who wants to save up money to buy a house, or if you want to buy land or anything like that. Being able to live this lifestyle for a certain amount of time will give you a financial break so that you can take all of the money that you would be spending on rent and pour that into your savings. Not paying rent has been one of the most amazing parts of this entire experience, for sure. The next thing that I love about bus life is minimalism. Minimalism and the mental clarity and just being more eco-conscious is something that has just been such an unexpected benefit of this experience. When I was living in Los Angeles, I was living in a one-bedroom house, and I had like all the things. Like I used to own honestly, like over 200 pairs of shoes, y'all. Like I used to own over 200 pairs of shoes. I used to have dressers full of makeup, huge walk-in closet, just so many things, which I love. And there's definitely room for that. And there's no shade in that. And that's something that I might eventually return to at some point when I decide to root down and get an apartment or get a house again. But for now, being able to live minimally and to see just how little I actually need to survive, just how little I actually need to be happy, to be content, to be satisfied, is something that is really, really beautiful. Like, even though I live in a really tiny space, like my bus is probably I think it's like an 8 by 16 living space. 120 square feet is my bus. And that doesn't include like, this isn't like this counter, and my bed takes up part of that 120 feet of living space. Like the actual walkway space that I have, I don't even know exactly what the square footage of that is, but it's very, very tiny. It's probably like 30, probably 30 square feet of standing space in this bus. And so even with how minimally I live, I still sometimes feel like I have too much. which is so interesting because I never would have thought that living in such a tiny space, I would still feel like I actually could get rid of some things. Like there have been times when I've thought about downsizing to a van because sometimes the bus feels too big. It feels like too much. It feels like actually I could do with a lot less. And so that has been such a really beautiful part of this experience. And also when it comes to what I consume, like my consumption has drastically reduced since I've been living bus life because you you have to be very conscious and cognizant of how many resources you're using. I have 100 gallons of fresh water. My gray water tank can only hold about 50 to 60 gallons of gray water. And so I have to constantly be aware, like when I'm when I'm washing dishes or washing my face or brushing my teeth, I don't just leave the water running. I have to, and I almost never run my water full blast. I trickle my water to brush my teeth or to wash my face, or if I'm washing dishes, I use the least amount of water pressure possible to efficiently, rinse off my dishes. Like what I wash them with soap while the water is off, and then I turn the water on to rinse them. So I'm constantly being aware of what it is that I'm consuming because I'm working with a very, very small space where I'm not connected to running water. I'm not connected to sewer. I'm not connected to any of these things. So making sure that I'm only using what is necessary. And when it comes to buying things, like I have to be very, very conscious about what I buy. I used to buy tons of clothes and tons of shoes. If I wanted something, I would just buy it simply because I had the space for it. But because I no longer have this space for tons and tons and tons of things, I have to really ask myself, do I really want this? Do I really need this? Is this going to add and enhance my life, or is this going to make things more difficult? Is this going to add more clutter to my life and to my space? And so the minimalism and being more conscious of my consumption is definitely one of my favorite things about living in a bus full time. And I know that the habits that I've developed throughout my time living in this bus are habits that I'm going to take with me when I eventually move back into a house or an apartment. The next thing that I really love about bus life is the skill building and the self-reliance that I have had to develop throughout this process. Now, I did have a lot of help building out the big parts, like the foundation of this bus, but so much of the work that was done on this bus, I did myself. I had no choice. That's a story for another day. But I had to do so many things myself on this bus, like all of the cosmetic work, all of the sanding, the painting, the staining, helping laying down the floors, putting on the cabinet faces, the fixtures, all of those things were things that I did myself in the process of finishing off this bus build. And as I've been on the road, things break all the time. All the time. That's just inevitable. And so I've had to get really creative, and I've had to really develop a sense of ingenuity when it comes to fixing things and just being creative about how to fix things, especially when I may not have all of the correct tools, or I may not have, the right fasteners or things like that. I've had to really get creative, like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? Because I need to be able to drive and not have my drawers fly open. So I have to figure out a way to fix this so that I can continue to move and be mobile. And so the skills that I've developed, the self-reliance that I've developed has really increased my confidence, my confidence in taking care of myself, my confidence in, fixing things and knowing that I can do things on my own. I don't always need help for some things. Yes, you need to outsource help. Certain things I would never do on my own, but there are so many things within my bus that I have learned to take care of on my own, which is something that has been really just really, really amazing, really healing and really strengthening of my confidence. The next thing that I really love about bus life is the creative expansion that I've gotten to experience, which I kind of touched on previously when I talk about the skill sets that I've developed and the self-reliance. Because building out this bus, I designed this bus, and every color, every fixture, every single detail came from my imagination. Well, that's the not what's the word I'm looking for? The layout wasn't my design fully. I was inspired by a couple named Drew and Savannah. Their Instagram or their YouTube is Our Way to Rome. And their layout for one of their previous vehicles was it was a layout that I was inspired by, but I still made a lot of changes to that layout. And so every single detail that you see, like in their bus, they had cabinets, but I decided to do shelving, which you can see. I decided to do open shelving and copper accents and things like that. You know, all of those details really helped me get super creative and to figure out, how do I want to feel every day when I wake up in this space? How do I want to feel when I am meditating, or when I'm working out, or when I'm just working or just living every single day? What is the sensations that I want to have? What's the vibe that I want to cultivate? And so the expansiveness that I've gotten to have in terms of my creativity has been really beautiful. And also being creative when it comes to my work, being creative when it comes to the content that I make. And I don't do a lot of bus life content because it is a lot of work, but even just like filming self-tape auditions for TV shows and movies, or filming my YouTube videos, getting creative about, which direction I'm going to film and where is the sun coming in through and how am I going to light this space. That's just been such a really, really important part of my creative development, and something that I'm very, very grateful for through the process of not just building, but also living and existing in this bus. And I would say the final thing that I'll share in this video, because I could probably share so many other things, but the final thing that I want to share is that removing myself from the conventional way of living and moving into a non-conventional way of living has taught me so much about what I want and what I don't want, especially as I move into the next phase of my evolution, the next phase of my living, because I'm not going to be living in this bus forever. And my full intention is to start finding a place to create some roots for myself. I still would like to be traveling in the bus a few months of the year, going to festivals and events and gatherings and things like that. But it has helped me recognize where I do want to live, where I don't want to live, what kind of geography I like, what kind of geography I don't like, because you can only really discover those things through the experience of it. And being able to live full time in a school bus and being able to have the freedom to go wherever I want to go has given me the opportunity to see what works, to see what doesn't work, to see what I like, to see what I don't like, to see what people are like in this environment versus what people are like in this environment, and to really get a sense of what is correct for me. And so that's been one of the most important things about this experience. And one of the things that I love the most about living in a bus is that I have a better idea of who I am, what I want, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, so that I can make more well-informed decisions about where I'm going in the future. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this video and all of my loves of bus life. And if you are someone who is really curious or very excited or passionate about potentially living on the road in a school bus or a van or an RV, I actually have written a guide. I have a very comprehensive bus life guide that I wrote called Wild and Sovereign, and it is a 69-page PDF downloadable guide that details from start to finish the differences between a bus, a van, an RV, the different price points, how to source materials, what to look for when it comes to creating your layouts, what types of layouts might better suit you, the type of toilets that, the different types of toilets that you might want to consider based on your needs and your desires, how to handle the difficulties of living on the road, repairs and breakdowns, how to find your community, how to navigate those moments of loneliness that inevitably happen when you're on the road. There are so many incredible things that I talk about in this bus guide. And so if you want to engage in, or you want to begin your journey of living on the road, if this video inspired you and you're like, oh my God, all of those things that you love about bus life sound absolutely incredible, I want to learn more about this, this is something I want to do for myself, then I highly, highly encourage you to purchase my bus life guide so that you can have a full Bible breakdown of everything that you need to know from beginning to end of what it means to engage in the bus life, van life, or RV life lifestyle. So thank you so much. The link for that is going to be in a pinned comment below. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Let me know if there was anything that surprised you, or if you live on the road as a traveler and you have other things that you also love about bus life or van life or RV life that you want to share. Let me know, and stay tuned for my next video where I'm going to be talking about all of the things that I absolutely hate about bus life, because I would not be correct if I didn't tell you about all of the downsides, because there are definitely downsides. But like I said, the upsides very, very much outweigh all of the downsides of living on the road. And so yeah, that video is going to be coming next. Thank you so much for being here. Please engage with this video so it can get pushed out in the algorithm. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, especially if you want to see more content like this. And also let me know if you want me to do a full bus tour, because it's something I've been thinking about doing. So if you want to see a full comprehensive tour of my bus, all the things that I have inside, all of my drawers, my storage, my water system, my electrical system, let me know down in the comments below so that I can maybe consider making that for you. All right, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on my next video.